main reasons as to why the equity markets have been going up. What is the reason behind this bull run? All right. So to start the session, let us first of all look around the numbers. Sensex and Nifty, both of them, they touched their all-time high respectively. Sensex crossed somewhere around 47,000 on 21st of December, along with Nifty crossing 13,750 again on the very same date. So they made their respective highs. If some of you know about the valuations, the PE multiples, they are soaring based on trailing multiples. But what are the reasons? What are the reasons that we all need to see, despite, as I mentioned, that the GDP numbers are not good. The quarterly growth rate in the first quarter was somewhere around minus 24%. In the second quarter, it was minus 7.5%. And a bit of revival has been seen in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. All right, so definitely there has been a revival, but not to the extent that we would see the markets roaring so high. All right. Now, a very interesting number. So, GDP is one number that we all need to see along with the markets. But again, one is a trailing indicator, one is a forward indicator. So, that is separate. But one indicator which I believe and which I think we must see is the GST collection. देखो GST collection किस पे होता है? GST collection is basically on the goods that we consume. Not just me, not just you, everybody in the country. कंट्री में कोई भी कुछ भी गुड्स कंज्यूम कर रहा है तो उस पर वो जीएसटी भर रहा है. सो बेसिकली जीएसटी टेल्स कि हम लोग सब मिलके कंजम्पशन कितना कर रहे हैं. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इफ वी आर कंज्यूमिंग मोर, automatically the companies are earning more, and since the companies are earning more, automatically the share prices shall rise and the index values, the nifty values and the sensex values must also rise. तो सीधा सीधा correlation we can establish कि जीएसटी कलेक्शन क्यों बढ़ रहा है, बिकॉज वी आर कंज्यूमिंग मोर. जीएसटी खाली कंज्यूमर टैक्स है, कंज्यूमर गुड टैक्स है. सो सिंस हम लोग जब ज्यादा परचेज करते तभी जीएसटी ज्यादा बढ़ते. पर अगर इफ वी लुक अराउंड द नंबर्स फ्रॉम मार्च टू जुलाई, the GST collection has been somewhere around 2.73 lakh crores, which is again 34% less compared to March to July of 2020, 2019, sorry. So again, कंजम्पशन भी नहीं हो रहा है, अर्निंग्स भी नहीं आ रही है, अर्निंग्स नहीं आ रही है तो फिर भी प्राइस बढ़ रहे हैं. सो a lot of confusion that arises from this for a layman at least कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, what are the reasons. देखो जीएसटी या फिर कंजम्पशन इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इंडिकेटर एज टू टेल यू व्हाई द शेयर प्राइसेस और द अर्निंग्स मस्ट राइज. एक सीधा लॉजिक है. से फॉर एग्जांपल ऑटोमोबाइल्स का एग्जांपल लेते हैं. मान लो इंडिया में अभी कोई कार नहीं बाय कर रहा है. सो अगर कोई कार नहीं बाय करता है तो मारुति टेक्स अ हिट, दैट इज फेयर इनफ. बट मारुति अकेला सारे काम नहीं करता है. वो टायर किसी और से लेता है, वो स्टील कहीं और से लेता है, वो अपना जॉब वर्क कहीं और कराता है. ठीक है, वो जो हेडलाइट्स होती है, टेल लाइट्स होती है, विंडशील्ड होती है, फलाना टिकना, हर एक चीज कहीं और से आती है, फिर एक जगह पे असेंबल होती है. So if Maruti loses business, there are multiple players behind Maruti which are also losing business. So it is not just Maruti that would lose, but it would be also the MRF, the Seat or the Goodyear. Alright, ये सारे कंपनीज भी बिजनेस लूज करेंगे एंड हेंस फोर दे वुड एंटर अ विशियस सर्कल की जहां पे अगर एंड पे कंज्यूमर कंज्यूम नहीं कर रहा है, so main party तो affect हो ही रही है, that is Maruti, and at the very same time the other players which are connected to the industry but they are providing ancillary services, they're also getting affected. So consumption is a very important point which we always see, which we should always see while we look around for the numbers. All right, so it is very important how the GST collections have turned up. So again, a very surprising number that the GST numbers are not that very high, yet the markets have been able to cross that 47,000 mark or 13,750 mark despite all these reasons. So what is the reason? So what shall be the main reason behind it? Every one of us is thinking of it कि क्या होगा. So I would like all of you to try and pitch in some of the answers in the chat box that yes, this could be the possible reason as to why the markets are rising. Yes, I am giving you a minute's time. Please try and put out, you can make a random guess as well कि हाँ इसकी वजह से हो रहा होगा. But yes, please feel free to put things in the chat box and try commenting your answers as to why do you feel, what is the main reason behind the bull run that we all have witnessed over the past 7 months or 8 months by now. Yes. So we have one answer. FIIs are investing more and more. Yes, Gaurav, very good, very good. Yes, we would like to have more answers. Thinking of future. Okay, so basically markets are futuristic. One of the person has said. Prashant has mentioned that there is an increase in retail investment. Okay, so Amit has mentioned कि the growth rate will be on the higher side because the GDP has come down. ठीक है, GDP अगर गिर गया है 20% से, तो अब जो बढ़ेगा वो 21-25% से बढ़ेगा. Okay, the optimism is there. All right, so somebody has said that from pessimism we have shifted our entire notion to optimism, because पहले हमको डर था कि कोरोना वायरस आ रहा है, but now we are optimistic that the vaccination is coming up. So the mindset of people has changed. Okay, very rightly pointed out. Maybe high liquidity due to FII flows. Okay, excess liquidity. Okay, there is a minor correction in 1 or 2 months, so somebody is expecting a minor correction. Yes, it might be the case. No other opportunity for investments apart from equities. Okay, accepted. But yes, this is a myth. The bond markets in India is also giving you good returns. I'm not talking about the FDs, but yes, the corporate bond sector or the government bond sector is giving you a good return, given that you take the right exposure via some mutual funds. All right. So maybe, so very right answer has been pointed out, and most of us would be thinking that कि वैक्सीनेशन आने वाला है, so the good times are coming in, so the markets are trying to price in those numbers in today's price. Okay, international bond yield is less than 1%. All right, so I think quite a few answers which I would wanted to give here has been come up, but the reasons which you cited out, I would like to back them little with some data points that I have. So a very funny thing which I could recall from a recent series that I watched, Harshad Mehta. So everybody knows what was the reason why he could keep the markets up. क्या रीजन था वो पूरे सीरीज में वो मार्केट्स को ऊपर क्यों रख पा रहा था? Anyone? Why was he able to keep the bulls out for so prolonged time period? Exactly. So the right answer that we have received in the very first go is funds. He made sure that the markets are filled with new funds coming up. Now, at that point in time, before 30 years, there were not many investors in the market. So there were some prominent investors who were, in control of the market. So at that point in time, if somebody is bringing in funds in the markets, extra funds, and from places, in fact, the money market funds which were coming in. So funds की वजह से क्या हुआ? Irrespective of the valuations, then the share prices kept on rising, rising, and rising. So we need to understand one thing, key fundamentals are there, valuations are one thing, but at the end of the day, the thing that drives the entire market is liquidity. All right, is liquidity. So the amount of liquidity that we have in the market today is so high that the markets do not have an option than to just rise. So एक ये रीजन हम लोग सभी लोग देख पा रहे हैं कि लिक्विडिटी इतना ज्यादा है. If I were to compare previous bear runs, so some of you might have witnessed, might have seen one of the posts that we created, that the bear run that we had seen was only of 0.7 months, but the bull run that we saw from 2009 to 2020 was for 11 years. It was the longest bull run that we all witnessed. So हम लोग को क्या perception है? Generally markets tend to go up, but it is not the case. There have been times when the markets have gone down for 4 years, 5 years. There have been bearish runs. But उस समय क्या होता था? उस समय there are two reasons. One, the central banks were not very proactive. Okay, if I take you back 50 years, 60 years back, the central banks were not very proactive. कि हम interest rate फटाफट कम कर देते हैं, fiscal stimulus ला देते हैं. So they were not very, very active. But in today's time, the moment coronavirus entered in any particular country, they knew that the businesses would get affected due to the lockdowns. So, make sure that the liquidity is there in the market with the people. The money is there with the people. All right. So, वो proactiveness आज के time पे है, पहले नहीं था. And secondly, as I mentioned previously, 30 years, 40 years before, the people who used to invest in the stock market were institutional investors, and very less number of retail investors used to come in and put in their money because of they did not know the depth, or they did not know the riskiness of the markets. Henceforth, they were very reluctant to put in their money in the markets. So there were two main reasons, comparisons that we can draw between current time periods versus time period 40 years, 50 years before, why there were longer bear runs then and why there are shorter bear runs now. All right, because of the proactiveness of banks and the way they push in the liquidity in one go without the fear of inflation. That is one very bold task which banks assume, and they do it. So one answer to everything that we can relate is liquidity. कि हर्षद मेहता वाली सीरीज में भी वी ऑल सॉ दैट लिक्विडिटी वाज कमिंग इन, और लिक्विडिटी की वजह से ही मार्केट्स चल रहे थे. एंड टुडे टू व्हाट वी कैन सी इज डिस्पाइट लोअर जीडीपी नंबर्स, डिस्पाइट we are not getting good GST collections, and despite the consumer is not consuming so much, yet the markets are going up just because of one reason, that is excess liquidity in the market. All right, so yes, we are coming to some of the questions. So give me a good amount of time, so that once we are through this session, that you can give me, I'll be giving you 15 minutes whereby you can shoot in your questions and we can have Q&A round. All right. So one answer to everything is liquidity. Now, how the liquidity is coming up? ठीक है, वो liquidity कैसे आ रहा है? Very important points that we need to realize. पहला point, हम सब घर में बैठे थे. ठीक है, हम सब घर में बैठे थे, and there were people who were who did not have anything to do, but at the very same time they had little funds. All right. So what they started doing was they started opening DEMAT accounts. If I were to give you some numbers, पिछले साल, when I say last year, what I mean is the entire financial year 2020, that is 1st April 2019 से लेकर 31st March 2020 तक, ये पूरे साल only 5 million DEMAT accounts opened in our country, just 5 million. All right, but in this period from April to October, all right, that is the current fiscal year that we are in, पिछले साल पूरे साल में 5 मिलियन था. अभी सिर्फ ये 7 महीने में we have touched somewhere around 6.8 million DEMAT accounts. So a very high number. People are opening DEMAT accounts. अब देखो DEMAT account तो open हो रहे हैं, ठीक है, fair and good. अब उसमें हो क्या रहा है? People are putting some amount of money. See, the markets are down. They started investing. Markets बढ़े, उनको profits मिला. Now, what is the general tendency? See, if I were you, or if you were investing for the first time, or if I was back 4 years 5 years and I started my investments for the first time, मैं जब पहले पैसे डाला, मान लो if I am putting 1 lakh rupee, and within 5 months 6 months I see that 1 lakh rupee is becoming 1.5 lakh. what I would see is कि मुझे मार्केट समझ में आता है, ठीक है, I am pretty good at buying stocks. What I need to do, I have gained in that confidence, bring in some more funds, ask the parents for more money, or put in your savings or whatever. All right, so people started doing that. Now what they brought in was खुद का इनिशियल जो कैपिटल था वो उसमें प्रॉफिट आया, एंड एट द वेरी सेम टाइम दैट प्रॉफिट ब्रॉट इन अ लॉट ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस इन देम, and henceforth they started pushing more money. And who are these people? The people who created or who made new DEMAT accounts for people like us, the between the age group of 18 to 25 27. This was the age group of people who created new DEMAT accounts in this time period, and they started investing, and right from the word go, they saw that within a span of 5 months 6 months they were able to get a return of 40-50%. All right, anywhere, like कहीं पे भी पैसा डालते हैं उतना रिटर्न जनरली आ ही रहा था स्टॉक मार्केट से. सो पीपल टेंड टू पुट इन मोर मनी. ठीक है, कहीं कोई एफडी तोड़वा के वापस यहाँ डाल रहा है, या फिर कोई जो एक्स्ट्रा सेविंग्स है वहां से डाल रहा है. लॉकडाउन है तो इतना पैसा खर्च नहीं हो रहा है, तो मे बी वो लोग एड इन कर रहे हैं. So there were multiple options जहाँ से ये आ रहा है. So look at the numbers of DEMAT accounts in our country has been rising. The graph is almost linear. If you see 41.5 say we are today at 47.6. So that is a pretty good number of new DEMAT accounts that we are able to see in this particular year, compared to, as I mentioned, in the last year, करीबन 4.9 million accounts खुले थे. That is somewhere around 5 million, but is साल we have already touched 6.8 million. So yes, the liquidity is coming in from the retail investors themselves. All right, that is there. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that retail investor markets को move नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, आप और मैं 2 लाख 4 लाख रुपए डाल के markets को move नहीं कर सकते. At the end of the day, the funds has to come from big places, big institutions. So we cannot move the market. All right, people like Harshad Mehta can, but we cannot, because given the fund size that we have, we cannot definitely move the market. Even though आप 40-50% का profit बना के booking करके वापस invest कर रहे हो, we are in no position to move the markets. Now the second reason which I want to cite out is the interest rates globally. All right, one very very important reason which we all can see is the interest rates globally. So I have some data points which we must see कि इंटरेस्ट रेट्स जो डेवलप्ड पार्ट में है, व्हाट इज द इंटरेस्ट रेट करंटली एज ऑफ नवंबर और दिसंबर 2020, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स कैसे कैसे नंबर के है. सो इफ यू सी मोस्ट ऑफ यूरोप, द जर्मनी, ग्रीस, ठीक है, यहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट रेट जीरो है, और यू आर गेटिंग द अमाउंट फॉर एट जीरो इंटरेस्ट रेट. देन इफ यू लुक अराउंड फॉर यूएस, यूएस में 0.25 है, कोई कोई कंट्रीज में, जापान में इट इज नेगेटिव. द इंटरेस्ट रेट्स आर सो लो. अब इंटरेस्ट रेट जब इतने कम होते हैं, सो व्हाट हैपेंस, अब सिंपल से एग्जांपल लेते हैं. नाउ से फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर इन द यूएस एंड यू आर गेटिंग फंड्स फॉर at say for example 1.5% interest rate in terms of US dollars. All right, so I would $1.5 pay, for example you're taking that money. Now when you take that, when you borrow that money at 1.5% of interest rate, what would you want? You would want that कि आप ये पैसे को कहीं ऐसी जगह इन्वेस्ट करो जहां पे आपको जितना बैंक को पे करे उससे ज्यादा है. ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट द एंटायर सिचुएशन, दैट इज हाउ यू वुड मेक मनी. कि अपने को 1.5% फॉर एग्जांपल देना है बैंक को, सो यू ट्राई टू मेक योर इन्वेस्टमेंट समवेयर जहां पे यू विल गेट ग्रेटर देन 1.5%. goes without saying. ठीक है, you would be looking for generating yield higher than 1.5%. all right, now say for example any person in the US is investing in India. all right, so in India में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है तो उसको 10-12% का रिटर्न मिल रहा है फॉर एग्जांपल. सो अब 10-12% का पूरा पूरा नहीं मिलेगा, वो यहाँ से फंड लेके वहां तक जाएगा तो जो भी करेंसी डेप्रिशिएट हुई है उसका उसको हिट लेना पड़ेगा. से फॉर एग्जांपल 5-6% करेंसी डेप्रिशिएट हो रही है, सो स्टिल ही इज मेकिंग अ रिटर्न ऑफ 5-6%. ठीक है, स्टिल ही इज मेकिंग अ रिटर्न ऑफ 5-6% ऑन द इंटरेस्ट रेट विच ही वाज गेटिंग एट 1.5%. सो एक चीज देखने की बहुत जरूरी हो जाती है, दैट द इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इन द डेवलप्ड वर्ल्ड स्पेशली. ठीक है, एफपीआई एफआई आते कहाँ से? साउथ अफ्रीका, अफ्रीकन कंट्री से एफआई नहीं आएंगे अपने पास. अपने पास कहाँ से आएंगे? यूरोप से आएंगे, यूएस से आएंगे, जापान से आएंगे. all these developed nations, will be seeing, we will be seeing a lot of FII inflows if we were to see. So वहाँ पे क्या yield है, वहाँ पे क्या interest rate है, वो बहुत मैटर करता है कि हमारे FII flows कैसे है. If these people get good investment opportunities there itself, हमारे वहाँ FII flows नहीं आएंगे. Given अभी वहाँ पे investment opportunities नहीं है, that is why people are investing more here. And a very simple concept I would like to relate interest rates with. अपने को सभी को पता है मार्केट्स में जब भी कोई कंपनी का वैल्यू हम करते हैं, ठीक है, व्हेनेवर वी ट्राई टू फिगर आउट द वैल्यू ऑफ एनी कंपनी, इट इज बेसिकली व्हाट, जो भी कंपनी कैश फ्लोज निकालने वाली है, जो भी कंपनी कैश फ्लोज जनरेट करने वाली है, उसको हम एक रेट से डिवाइड करते हैं. ठीक है, और वो रेट में इंटरेस्ट रेट कहीं ना कहीं उसका पार्ट होता है. अब वो नीचे जिससे हम डिवाइड कर रहे हैं वो नंबर जितना बड़ा होता जाएगा वैल्यूएशन कम होता जाएगा. और अगर वो डिवाइड वाला नंबर जो इंटरेस्ट रेट है हमारा, इफ वी कीप making that number smaller, automatically the valuations would tend to go up. Here the exact same thing is happening. The rates are coming down. So जो भी cash flows आने वाले हैं कंपनीज के फ्यूचर में, वो तो न्यूमरेटर में रह गए, लेकिन जिससे हम डिवाइड कर रहे हैं वो छोटा हो गया. वो छोटा हो गया तो ऑटोमेटिकली यहाँ पे वैल्यूएशन थोड़े से बढ़ गए. सो इट गोज विदाउट सेइंग, जैसे जैसे वर्ल्ड वाइड इंटरेस्ट रेट्स कम होंगे, इक्विटी मार्केट्स में इक्विटी मार्केट्स के ओवरऑल वैल्यूएशंस बढ़ेंगे ही बढ़ेंगे. सो a very simple assumption that we all can follow: whenever we see the interest rates going down, now there is no room for the interest rates to go down. You would see in a year or two the inflation rates might start taking the hit, but that would be a situation whereby again the central banks would come in and they would try to increase the interest rates so as to control the inflation. But yes, as of now the interest rates are down, rate कम हुई, cash flows अगर same मानते हैं हम तो automatically valuation यहाँ पे ऊपर जा रहा है. So interest rates play a very important role. So two factors that we all can see on a broader basis, that yes, lower interest rates playing a very important role. Your DEMAT accounts is playing a very important role, and the third one is FII flows, as you all talked about. अब FII flows we all know कि इंडिया में आ रहे हैं. We all have been reading news कि India is one of the developing nations whereby the foreign investors are willing to put in the money. But there is one major reason that I want to put in. देखो, जैसे निफ्टी एक इंडेक्स है इंडिया की टॉप 50 कंपनीज का, वैसे एक MSCI इंडेक्स है. वो MSCI इंडेक्स क्या करता है? जो भी ग्लोबल इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स है, जैसे इंडिया का मार्केट है, चाइना का मार्केट है, ताइवान का मार्केट है, सिंगापुर का मार्केट है, साउथ कोरिया का मार्केट है, जो भी ग्लोबली इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स है इक्विटीज के फ्रंट पे, वहां पे वो इन्वेस्ट करता है. तो से फॉर एग्जांपल MSCI इंडेक्स क्या है? एक ऐसा इंडेक्स है जहां पे इंडिया का इंडेक्स है सेंसेक्स फॉर एग्जांपल, चाइना का इंडेक्स है शंघाई इंडेक्स, साउथ कोरिया का इंडेक्स है, ताइवान का इंडेक्स है. सो अलग अलग कंट्रीज के इंडाइसेस से वो इंडेक्स बना है. ठीक है, कि अगर मान लो यूएस में किसी एक पर्सन को या किसी के फंड मैनेजर को या पोर्टफोलियो में यू वांट टू गिव द एक्सपोजर ऑफ ऑल द डिफरेंट इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमी मार्केट्स, तो आप कैसे कर सकते हो, ये पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स में इन्वेस्ट करके। अब हुआ क्या है रिसेंट टाइम में, इन द लास्ट 1 मंथ व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इज, इस पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स में इंडिया का जो वेट था वो पहले 8.1% था। ठीक है, मतलब अगर 100 रुपया इन्वेस्ट हो रहा है इस इंडेक्स में तो 8 रुपया इंडिया में जाएगा, लेकिन यही बढ़ के कितना हो गया है, 8.7 हो गया। सो अब 100 रुपया अगर इन्वेस्ट हो रहा है पूरे इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स में, सो इंडिया में कितना जाएगा, इंडिया में यू विल सी एन इनफ्लो ऑफ 8.7%। सो बहुत सारे ऐसे इन्वेस्टर्स होते हैं जो पैसिव इन्वेस्ट करते हैं कि इंडेक्स को पकड़ते हैं और इंडेक्स में ही पैसा डालते हैं। अब जब वो लोग इंडेक्स में ही पैसा डाल रहे हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली 8.1% से 8.7 हो गया, तो इंडेक्स में अगर वेट बढ़ गया है तो ये पैसिव इन्वेस्टर्स को भी अपना वेट इस पर्टिकुलर मार्केट में, जो इंडियन मार्केट है उसमें बढ़ाना पड़ेगा। सो दे स्टार्टेड इन्वेस्टिंग बिकॉज ऑफ द इंडेक्स दैट वी ऑल सी। सो इट हैज रिजल्टेड इन अ massive inflow of $2.5 billion in the past 1 month. So that is one of the major prime reason as to why the uh, the markets have seen such a good FII inflow. एक simple सा reason अभी Tesla का लेते हैं. So Tesla has become a part of the S&P 500. So S&P 500 is an index in the US which tracks the top 500 companies of US. Alright, so Tesla has become a part of it. अब जो भी यूएस में इन्वेस्टर है जो S&P 500 में इन्वेस्ट करता है, उनको जो वो कंपनी निकली है जिसके बदले टेस्ला आई है उस कंपनी को बेचना पड़ेगा और बदले में टेस्ला को खरीदना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, ये करना पड़ेगा वहां पे भी। वैसे ही जो भी इन्वेस्टर या जो भी पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजर MSCI इंडेक्स ऑफ ग्लोबल इमर्जिंग मार्केट्स में इन्वेस्ट करता है, वो पहले इंडिया में 8 रुपए कर रहा था इन्वेस्ट, अब उसको 8.7 करना पड़ेगा बिकॉज उसको इंडेक्स को ही फॉलो करना है। नाउ सिंस ही वांट्स टू ओनली फॉलो द इंडेक्स, he'll have to increase the flow in the Indian markets and draw out some of its funds from some other markets. So ये एक बहुत important point है. We all are seeing that the FII flows are coming in. Definitely they are coming in. But one of the major reason why the FII flows are coming in is the MSCI index. All right, is the MSCI index. So again, यहाँ पे मैं I would like to throw some numbers at lower interest rates. If we cumulatively see, so हमने देखा बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स पे, हमने देखा बहुत सारी कंट्रीज के इंटरेस्ट रेट 1% थे, 0.5 थे, 0 थे, जापान डेनमार्क के तो नेगेटिव में थे। सो वर्ल्ड वाइड अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डेटा पॉइंट, यू नो दिस कैन बी वेरीफाइड, we are somewhere around sitting at $17 trillion ऑफ एसेट्स जो कि 1% या 1% से कम इंटरेस्ट रेट पे अवेलेबल है। $17 trillion of assets are at the rate of 1% or less than 1%, the interest rate might even be negative. So if the interest, इतना सारा पैसा अगर इतने low yield पे है तो automatically this $17 trillion will chase what? Will chase assets which will give good yield. अब कौन से assets अच्छा yield देंगे? Emerging markets के equity markets is one of the place whereby the returns can come in easily. All right, the returns can come in easily. So very important thing that we all need to see. Forex investment flows की अगर हम बात करें, so they were completely absent from April to July because of the uncertainty and the impact of the virus across countries. But after that, post July, we have seen a very big surge. One of the reasons, as I cited out, was the MSCI index, and at the very same time, these developed nations, they are sitting at a $17 trillion of assets which are yielding 1% or 0.5%. So automatically they would be chasing out higher yields. अब जब वो लोग higher yields chase कर रहे हैं तो automatically they would like to, you know, gain a good difference on it and they would like to make money on it. Henceforth, lower interest rates are playing a significant role to bring in the liquidity in the markets. Alright, so ये yield chase हो रही है, Indian markets में पैसा आ रहा है, Chinese markets में पैसा आ रहा है, the Taiwan market is getting good amount of market good amount of investment because of the lower yield across the developed nations. So a very important thing that we need to see. ऐसी bull runs हमने past में भी देखी है. If you look around, 1993 was a year जहाँ पे कुछ पॉलिसीज लाई गई थी जिसकी वजह से लिक्विडिटी अच्छी खासी बढ़ गई थी मार्केट में। 2000 वाज अगेन वन पीरियड जहाँ पे आईटी को इतना इंपॉर्टेंस मिल रहा था, उसकी वजह से लोगों ने इन्वेस्टमेंट करना चालू कर दिया था उसमें। सो अगेन वी सॉ वेरी गुड लिक्विडिटी। 2007-8 we all are aware of, again a very good amount of liquidity. So the bull runs that we have seen, or rather I would, you know, cautiously put it as the bubbles which we have seen are all driven by what? Are all driven by liquidity. The liquidity is the one of the main reasons as to as to see why the bull runs have lasted so long. ठीक है, तो ये चीजें हमको देखने की बहुत जरूरत है. So अब ये बुल रन्स कैसी होती है, ठीक है. Did anybody witness in the last week जब यूके में when there was a surge in the cases and एक नया virus muted, so they got a new muted virus. So at that point in time, what happened was the markets took a hit. The Indian markets also took a hit. Nifty went down 3%, Sensex went down 3%, the mid cap index went down 5%. So ये लिक्विडिटी वाली जो बुल रन होती है, बबल्स होते हैं ना, उसमें कोई भी एक ऐसा ट्रिगर पॉइंट आ जाए ना, तो वो मार्केट्स को तुरंत गिरा देता है, एंड यू विल नॉट इवन गेट टाइम टू यू नो pull back your funds. So there were some calls, from my close relatives and friends who asked me that, the markets did not even give us a chance to withdraw our money. It was so sudden. So exactly that is what I wanted to point out, that the bull runs, or the bubbles rather, which are run by the liquidity, the excess liquidity in the market, are always a point of or always, we need to be a little cautious over there. The reason being कि वहां पे कुछ भी हो सकता है, ठीक है. The markets will not be giving you a lot of time here to protect your money or to withdraw your money, ठीक है. वो जब गिरेगा तो it would be all of sudden. So now what you need to do, what you shall be doing here, is one question that we all need to again seek answers from. So we all know that this is a bull run, this is a bubble, not exactly a bubble, but yes, bubble come bull run. So whereby it is completely driven by liquidity. The earnings might come in, given that markets are futuristic, but that is very uncertain. Yeah, that is very uncertain. Yes, if we were sitting in 2018 and we would have said that the GDP numbers are not that very high, 4.5% हम grow कर रहे हैं, बाद में grow कर जाएंगे, given that the consumption surge that we have in our country would be acceptable and would not be that very risky. But given the uncertainty that we have, in the pipeline, saying that the earnings will come in is, we need to be very cautious while we say that statement. And a good part of the earnings that might come in the future has already been priced in the market. So how good the corporates would do, the numbers have been priced in. A good amount of them have been priced in already. So if anything uncertain happens here, the volatility would come in and the markets will not give you a lot of time to withdraw your money. So that is one thing that I feel that is, we need to be very cautious. If you've already made gains of 40-50%, fair enough, you need not put in more money. Okay, you need not put in more money. And if you've not put in any money, do not worry, markets will give you opportunities. All right, markets will definitely give you opportunities. But yes, as of today, you did not put in more money. All right, so now जब ऐसे बबल चल रहे हैं, so what we can do as investors is one question that I feel that हमको सभी को इसका आंसर पता होना चाहिए. So say for example, I'll give you a simple example. There's one person who wants the money 3 months or 6 months down the line. ठीक है, उसको 6 महीने बाद पैसा चाहिए. Now since he wants the money 6 months, 8 months down the line, what he should do, he should book his profits. These are the very good valuations which he is getting right now. He must have made 50-60% easily. Believe me, making money is not that very easy. हमको 5-6 महीने में ऐसा लगा है कि it is very easy that we can make money from the markets so quickly, but it is not the case. You cannot. All right, so किसी का अगर horizon, now again I would want to divide the investors into 3 categories here. One with short-term horizon, the other one with medium-term horizon, and the other one and the third one with long-term horizons. So if somebody has a very short-term horizon, what he could do is he could book profits. All right, outrightly I can say this, he could definitely book profits. The markets might go up, but there are greater chances that और इतना और ज्यादा रिटर्न्स नहीं आ पाएगा यहाँ से. All right, और ज्यादा exorbitant returns नहीं आ पाएगा. So a person having a short-term horizon can book profits. किसी का मीडियम टर्म होराइजन है अगर, दैट इज मीडियम टर्म, बाय मीडियम टर्म आई मीन somewhere between 3 to 5 years horizon, if somebody is having, what they could do is they could change a bit of their allocation. So right now they must be invested 100% into equity, they could shift to 80-20, or if somebody is already 80-20 in equities, they could shift to 60-40. Whereby the other asset I mean here is bonds. They could simply put in their money into bonds. How can they buy bonds? They can purchase bonds through mutual funds. All right, so that is the second thing that medium term investors could do who have a decent time horizon of 3 to 5 years. Again, not asking them to withdraw all of their money from equities, they can stay, because if in case the markets go down a little, they are giving the portfolio a decent time period to come back. So that is what we want to see. एक decent time period हम सबको दिख रहा है कि markets के पास वापस आने का time है, so आपका पैसा डूबेगा नहीं वहाँ पे, given that you're giving a sufficient time to the portfolio to regain the lost money which it would lose up. So again, a very important point, medium term time horizon wale, change your allocation. All right, again, given the valuations that we are looking at right now, these are something that you must do so that you do not regret in the future. All right, and the people who have a long-term horizon, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, what they can do is they can stay with equity. In the long term, equities would rise. There is no doubt in that. But अगर आपको पैसा 6 महीने बाद चाहिए, आपको लग रहा है कि आपको equity markets को opportunity देगा कि 6 महीने बाद भी आप निकाल पाओ, it may not be the case. All right, it may not be the case. Henceforth, be very cautious with your money. Look out what horizon you have. ठीक है, look out what horizon you have, कि आपका horizon short term है, long term है, medium term है, and accordingly, say for example, if you have invested 10 lakh rupees, अगर आपका 3 लाख का short term horizon वाला था तो withdraw that. आपका अगर 5 लाख का कुछ और था तो withdraw that. And so change allocation for that. और long term वाला कुछ है तो वैसे. So divide your portfolios. All right, if you have पूरा आपका horizon ही short term, medium term, long term है तो that is a separate case. But अगर आपका horizon fund wise भी है, so try in making these adjustments. It would be the right portfolio allocation strategy that we should all follow. Yes, so these are some of the points which I wanted to highlight कि क्यों markets इतने ऊपर है, हम bearance क्यों नहीं देख पाते, because of the proactiveness of banks, because of the funds that people are pushing in, especially people like us, with the Zerodhas and the Robinhoods of the world. It has become very easy for us to make the investments, and we are not afraid of making investments. First reason, all of us want quick money. And equity markets are showing you a way of getting that quicker money. So we all are very much willing to put in our money. All right, even if it is not our hard-earned money, but we are willing to put in, because equities wo dikha raha hai, and we are the generation who would want money to come fast. So henceforth, we all are willing to open our DEMAT accounts and invest. All right, so that is one thing that I wanted to add. All right, so now we can take, I think, few questions. We can take few questions. So yes, so there was one question, Gaurav. What if we invest for, let's say, 10 years? If Gaurav, you are saying invested for 10 years, stay with equity, stick with equity. For fresh allocation, which sector you feel would do well? Currently, the valuations, from the valuations front, majority of the sectors are on the higher side from the valuations front. But yes, in case if there are dips, you can definitely look out for the healthcare sector. There is a lot of fuel still left in the healthcare sector. That is what I feel. And given if the markets provide you opportunities with the consumer sector, with the FMCG sector, with the likes of HUL, DEMAT, and all these companies, definitely that also becomes a second option. Whereby I am talking about USLs, the USL Redico Ketans of our stock markets as well. So that was the second question. For fresh allocation, which sectors I feel would do well. So currently, as a market, as an equity market, in the overvalued zone, do not, fresh money should not be put in. But if you have an allocated money already, so वो रह सकता है. नया money डालने का भी शायद थोड़ा कम point है. But if markets provide you opportunities, कोई dip पे, then these are 2-3 sectors which I feel might do well. So so there's one question. What in your opinion about investing on index funds over long-term period, given the Indian markets will expand for sure? So Raman, if you do index investing, you are just like me. I do read companies. I do select few companies in my portfolio. But at the end of the day, the majority chunk of my money goes in the asset class, that is equity. Now, when I invest into the asset class equity, I invest into index funds. So whereas I'm investing into Nifty 50 or Sensex 30 for that matter, or Nifty Midcap 150 for that matter. So I select the indices because I want the exposure of the asset class. The company exposure, yes, 2-3 companies which I feel that might do well. I do put in my money there, but yes, at the end of the day, index funds is how you plan out with the asset class. So right now the asset class is overvalued, so you pull back your money from the index funds. March, April, June was the time period when the asset classes was undervalued, and when the asset class was undervalued, so that was the time where you could have put in your money. So Raman, we have answered your question. Vedant, although the FIIs are buying, why are the DIs consistently selling? So Vedant, the prime reason is profit booking. So if you look around the data of April, May, June, July, at that point in time, DIs थोड़े से अच्छा buy कर रहे थे, ठीक ठाक. FIIs were on a spree of withdrawing money. All right, so DIs were putting their investments there. So this is a time whereby they are pulling back their money. So they are basically booking their profits right now. Okay. What if I say now for Gaurav? So what if I invest now for Gaurav? If you are no again, अगर आपको आज invest करना है and you have a time horizon of 10-12 years, I would ask you to go in a systematic manner. ठीक है, अगर आपको आज से ही invest करना start करना है and you say for example if you have an amount of 10 lakh rupees, invest 50,000 करके 20 times every month. That would be my suggestion. Go for systematic investing in bull market, because if you have good amount of funds and your time horizon is very long, systematic investment is the answer. Gaurav, does that answer your question now? Okay, so we have one more question. Can there be more longer bear runs now comparing to bull runs? Ramit, yes, there can be, given that the numbers do not show up in that months to come as well. अगर कंपनीज के जो रिजल्ट्स है वो अगर डिसअपॉइंट करने लग जाते हैं, so bear run वापस हम we start entering the bear run, and now the government and the central banks do not have that cushion whereby they can put in more liquidity. They are already at 0.5% yield, so वहां पे उनके पास cushion भी नहीं है. So in case if the banks and if the companies do not start posting good results in the times to come in the next few quarters, then we are up for a new bear run as well. We might as well. I mean, not making any statements, but yes. Ramit, that answers the question, right? Kushi, if someone has opened his or her account recently, what would you suggest? Kushi, so again, if you have opened your DEMAT account, go for systematic investing, given that your time horizon is on the longer side. Alright, अगर आपका short term horizon है, आपको अभी पैसा डाल के मार्च अप्रैल में withdraw करना है, equity is not the asset class as of now. Alright, equity is not the asset class as of now. You might get returns, but the riskiness is very high. So have a very long term time horizon and go for systematic investing if you want to start right away. If you could wait and if you have the patience to wait, maybe markets might give you opportunities. All right. So we have so many questions. We have 8 to 10 questions. SIPs के लिए time अच्छा है. अमित, SIPs के लिए time हमेशा अच्छा होता है. SIPs, they cut out the volatility. ठीक है. So say for example, I had one of my SIPs of 5,000 rupees, which I started in November 2018, 19 for example. So November, December, January, February, on the higher side SIPs purchase हुई. March, April, June, July, lower side पे SIPs ने purchase किया. So balance out हो गया, average हो गया, तो आपको वहां से मिला. Because we are in no position, me and you are in no position to time the market कि ये मार्केट का हाई है, ये मार्केट का लो है, यहाँ डालना चाहिए, यहाँ निकालना चाहिए. SIPs वो एवरेज निकाल लेता है, अप साइड पे आपको रिटर्न दिखता है वहां पे. Alright. Okay. Any speculations on how long the bull run will last? Vansh, any news, ठीक है, कोई भी न्यूज आ जाएगी जो थोड़ी सी बड़ी होगी इन नेचर, might trigger the bear run. Might trigger the bear run because say for example results कंपनी के अभी दिसंबर जब क्वार्टर फिनिश होगा उसके क्वार्टर के रिजल्ट्स एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं है, so that might trigger the bear run. All right, and given अभी अगर bear run आ गया तो it might be a little difficult for banks and governments to push in liquidity because they're already at the end. ठीक है, उससे ज़्यादा लोग कर ही नहीं सकते, so they'll have to wait. So there might be any trigger point that might come in and that might stop the bull run. All right, so again, yes. Question, so Agam, markets being at the highest high, would you suggest growth investing or value investing? वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग जब होती है जब वैल्यूएशंस कोई कंपनी के आपको कम मिल जाते हैं, बट अभी आपको कोई भी कंपनी ऐसी नहीं मिलेगी. You might find a one or two, but with not very good corporate governance. So very less companies you would find right now जहाँ पे आपको सस्ती मिल रही है चीजें. ठीक है, आप now say for example HUL है, HUL 1800 का वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग हो जाता है. अगर HUL अगर आप बाई कर रहे थे अप्रैल में जैसे, so you are getting HUL for 1800, that was value investing. All right, because you knew that HUL is worth 2400 and you're getting it for 1800, so value investing होता है. Value investing is when कि कोई चीज महंगी होती है, ठीक है, कोई चीज महंगी होती है और आपको सस्ते में मिल रही है. बट अभी में इक्विटी मार्केट्स इतना ज्यादा ऊपर है कि मोटा मोटी सारी ही कंपनीज दे आर एट अ वेरी गुड वैल्यूएशंस. ऑलराइट, P multiples are on the higher side, so value investing becomes a little so out of question here. ग्रोथ इन्वेस्टिंग में जो भी कंपनी ग्रोथ शो कर सकती है उनको मार्केट्स ने बहुत ज्यादा वैल्यूएशन दिया हुआ है. सो अगेन, कोटक इज नॉट अ वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग कंपनी. आगम, कोटक इज अ ग्रोथ इन्वेस्टिंग कंपनी बिकॉज कोटक आपको सस्ता नहीं मिल रहा है, आपको कभी मिलेगा भी नहीं शायद कोटक सस्ता, बट कोटक का जो ग्रोथ है वो बहुत अच्छा है. सो इट इज ऑलवेज बीन अ ग्रोथ इन्वेस्टिंग कंपनी कोटक. यस. FMCGs and IT sector are definitely you could invest in long term for long term, but Gaurav, at the very same time, please make sure you are investing in a systematic way, given that you are starting investing right now. All right, Aditya, ITC is a all two different story altogether. ठीक है, ITC में there are multiple things which are very company specific. So मैं market से उसको relate नहीं कर पाऊंगा यहाँ पे, but ITC में see I'll say why ITC does not get that valuation, but HUL does, because ITC is a jack of all and master of none. HUL is a master of all, jack of none. All right, so HUL के पास इतने सारे brands है जहाँ पे वो top पे है, but ITC के पास इतने सारे brands है जहाँ पे वो second है. Say for example, ITC का example ले लेते हैं, Yippee second, cream biscuits they lose to Britannia. Cigarettes, आपको लगेगा cigarette में वो लोग first है, but नहीं है. Illegal cigarettes, you know, people consume more illegal cigarettes than legal cigarettes, तो वहाँ पे वो legal cigarettes आए थे, so वहाँ पे वो आ गए. So very contagious thing. अब if ITC is to grow, they'll have to make sure कि वो लोग सिगरेट बिजनेस से थोड़ा बाहर निकले, एंड एट द वेरी सेम टाइम जो उनका FMCG वाला बिजनेस है वहां पे उनके कोई ब्रांड जो सेकंड है, जो जैक है, वो थोड़े थोड़े मास्टर बने. ठीक है, थोड़े थोड़े मास्टर बने, चाहे वो सनफीस्ट हो, चाहे वो क्लासमेट ऑलरेडी है, चलो सनफीस्ट हो, या फिर नूडल सेक्शन में हो, या फिर ड्रिंकिंग सेक्शन में, हॉर्लिक्स हेल्थ केयर ड्रिंकिंग सेक्टर में हो. So at some places they'll have to become the master. Otherwise, it is very difficult for ITC to get the valuations which HUL has gotten. So it is a very interesting thing. HUL के profits, sales कम है ITC से in terms of numbers, but at the very same time ITC का valuations 1/5 है compared to HUL. So very interesting. It is because one company being a jack of all while the other company is being the master of all. All right. Company specific questions I'm trying to avoid. Anything else? I'm looking. Okay. Yes, how to find the right value of the company, Ramit? It is a mixture of the growth which the company might bring in and the price that you are paying right now. So not that very easy. I mean, you'll have. So for beginners, what I feel is I did a mistake when I started investing. I directly started putting my money into companies, but later on I realized that initially when you start investing, it is the asset class that you should be investing in and not the company. So if you're trying to invest into equities, do not go for companies, but rather go for the entire asset class. Once you get hold of the asset class, once you know how the asset class behaves, once you know how the sectors behave within the asset class, then you can go for particular companies and sectors. So that is how the process should be. It is not a process of a year or two. You need to stay invested with the asset class for multiple years and then uh, come for companies. All right. So that is how it is. Yes. Okay, so I think I've answered majority of the questions. So in case if you feel that you have more questions, you can feel free to just a second. Yes, you can feel free to drop in us an email that is on connect@valuationary.com. You can either DM us on Instagram as well, or LinkedIn for that matter. So you can do that as well. I am myself Kunal Shah, co-founder of Valuationary. We started with the venture 10-12 months back, and we have been seeing very good response thanks to all of you. At the very same time, if anyone wants to learn how to create their portfolio and how to find the intrinsic value of companies, we have multiple courses on our website, that is www.valuationary.com. You can always visit the site and you can get a hint of the courses that we have. And for any doubts, you can text us over Instagram, and we would be replying it in a day's time. We myself so our core team would be replying it to you, any question that you ask. So you'll be getting prompt replies, and we'll make sure that the answers are of your satisfaction or your satisfactory level. All right. So I think what is asset class? Once when I say asset class, what I mean is equity एक asset class है, bonds एक asset class है, gold एक asset class है, real estate एक asset class है. So इनिशियली कहाँ पे इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए आपको? एसेट क्लास में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए, दैट इज इक्विटीज में करना चाहिए, ना कि इक्विटीज में कि कंपनी पिक करके. ऑलराइट, सो दैट इज व्हाट आई मीन. डज इट आंसर योर क्वेश्चन, वंश? Okay, all right. So great to have all of you. All the participants were glued to through the entire session. We'll be coming up with a very nice session on the next Sunday as well, whereby we'll be having a workshop. So उस workshop में we'll be sending you the Excel file, and we all of us will be working on that Excel file together. So it will be a fun Sunday, whereby a bit of learning would take place, and you'll make sure that you will be able to apply those learnings in your practical life as well when you make your investments. So if you're investing right now, do it in systematic way. If you already invested and your horizon is short term, you may pull back your money. All right. Thank you so much. Please let us know how the session was, again over Instagram or over our LinkedIn page. Okay. Thank you so much.